Hi, welcome to my tube. My name's Marge. I'm a Hale empath, and I just like doing these little talks on the way I feel about things. And of course, as soon as I start the video, the stuff gets loud. Man, birds show up, people start beating on stuff with hammers. But you know, I've been out here for like 45 minutes with the cat, and it's been all quiet until I hit record, and then whatever. What are you gonna do? Anyway, welcome to my tube. It's kind of freaking warm today outside, and I've been running around all day doing errands and. I'm depleted. I'm tired. I was gonna try and put it off till later in the week, but I'm just like, no use. No need. Just go get it done and be done with it. You know, don't procrastinate anymore. You know, and plus, Benny's got his dental tomorrow, and I needed to use up some energy, so I utilized that energy and took care of what I had to do. I like to go in off peak hours because I'm an empath, and so I freaking, you know, if it's real busy, then I'm freaking having other people's experiences too, and I don't know. Yeah, I can keep from doing it, but some days it takes more energy to not pick up other people's energy, you know, than it does to just freaking, what's this person about? Let's dip in there. But I had a cool conversation with a couple of kids over there at the laundromat. Well, one's 19, one's 21. They were started about the same time I started, and I go usually put the clothes in the dryer and then run across streets to the grocery store and then come back, and by that time I can start pulling the dry stuff out and folding it as it goes, because I just wash it all in one load. These kids, you know, I was like, hey, can I ask you guys something? And they're like, yeah, sure, what? I'm like, have you guys seen that new Joker movie yet? And he's like, and neither of them did. And I was like, yeah. I said, I guess there's a bunch of people that walked out because it was too violent. And I'm like, I've seen a lot of violent stuff before, but too violent, I didn't know that was a thing. And they're like, really? You know, and they're like intrigued, like it spiked their freaking curiosity. And I'm like, yeah, a bunch of people are walking out, and I was like, well, you know, and they've all been done so many times before. And they're like, well, this one's his origin story, and I was like, yeah, I've done a video about that. I do YouTube videos, and I've done my own origin story, you know, and he's like, yeah, well, so they've never really done it like this, and I was like, yeah, well, but when you read about it and you know about it, I don't know about anybody else, but my imagination is always better. You know, it always makes things bigger and grander. You know, it always makes people like me. It always makes people, you know, think about me and care about me. And I always get big and grandiose, you know, and then the reality of it is, no, you were wrong about that, you know, and then I get disappointed and stuff. And it's my own fault. Maybe if I was more mature, I wouldn't do that, but we're social creatures. We're made to be social creatures by design. We're not made to isolate and stuff like that. And so this conversation continued with these young guys, and they're like, well, isn't it freaking rated R? And I'm like, yeah, it's rated R, you know, and not exactly what sure is triggering people, but people are getting triggered, and they're leaving the theater and, you know, declaring their offense. I'm just like, you know, you're right, yeah, that's cool, you know, and that's what people got to do if they don't agree with stuff. They just got to not go to it and do it and things like that. I don't know how I feel about it. You know, it's just, like I was saying, it's my imagination has always been better than the reality of situations, you know, and it's caused me a great deal of disappointment from time to time. And I was asking the kid, I'm like, I said, you guys play a lot of video games? And they're like, oh yeah, we play a lot of video games. And I said, I said, I don't know why people worry about these movies that are violent, because aren't these video games that you guys playing like really, really, really violent? A lot of them really violent too. And they're like, oh yeah. And I said, would you say that that's desensitized you? I mean, do you think that would make you less empathetic as a human being, seeing these stories play out, you know, on that you're creating, you know, when you go out and you're killing people on these? Does it make you respect human life less? And the one kid who's 19, you know, he's pretty articulate, and he's like, you know, he's like, no, he's like, I think all the abuse and the neglect that I experienced as a child, I think that has made me lack empathy for people more than any video game. And I was like, wow, I appreciate your honesty. I said, I come from the same place, you know. And then the kid that was 21, we started a conversation. He's like, you know, he was just like in a daze, and he was the one that my energy was freaking being drawn to. I know it. And he's like, I just tried to freaking, and he showed me in his arms, and he had scratches on his arms. He's like, I just tried last night. And I was like, you see, he said, all these men in my family have been burdened for generations. They've all committed suicide. And he's like, you know, he's like, and I can't die. He's like, he was diagnosed early as type 1 diabetic, and you know, he's like, I've almost died on the table 6 times. And I said, well, young man, then you better get to living, because you have a calling. Because if you ain't going, then you better get busy staying, you know. And that's exactly how exactly how our bloodlines are healed. I said, if you can live and find a way to have joy and bliss in this life, it ain't gonna happen all the time, but you gotta hang on to it when it does. And when you're going through hard times, you gotta remember that it's not always hard, and that there is a lot of joy and bliss to be had in the world and in life to experience, and it's not all bad, and it's not all tragedy. And he had the same storyline as a young man that I went to 7th grade with, that his father got up and walked into the other room and killed himself, like he was going in to get a fresh pair of socks out of the drawer or something, you know. And so I said, you know, all these experiences happen for people. You know, they happen all the time, and they're really actually very far more common than people care. But people get so choked up and so wrapped up in their pride that they don't talk about it, and then they stuff it, and they heal it. And they're out someplace, and they get a smell of a smell, or a hint of a song, or a light hits them just right, and they get recall, and they're triggered. They don't know how to handle their emotions, so what do, they're just act out right then and there. Doesn't matter where they're at. It's emotional control, and people don't have it. People can have it. They just, where are you gonna get it? I get mine through meditation. I get mine through, you know, I do this a lot. I'm breathing through stuff often. And I'd rather people, you know, people are going to think what they want, but I'd rather do this and keep my even keel than lose my temper, like, so, because anybody could do that, and everybody's doing that, you know. And I was like, you know what, guys? I said, you're going to be all right. I said, you guys got each other, you know, you guys got a couple friends, keep your couple friends, and freaking be honest, you know. And as far as and you kid, the older kid, I addressed him, and I'm like, there's support groups. Don't ever get too choked up about your pride, because one human relating to another, you know, just hearing other people's story that have gone through things like you, or worse than you, or not as bad, but hurt is hurt, and we all have been hurt. So if we all treat each other, you know, a little bit more courteously, you know, a little less, I don't know, reactive, than some, you know, because that's how cancers are made. People don't talk about feelings, they don't talk about secrets, they stuff and stuff and stuff, and then ulcers happen, and that's how dissidence and dis-ease is how cancers begin and sicknesses begin, you know. But I said, you guys keep speaking from your heart, and you're already ahead of the game, man. See, this is how my friends have always, the dialogues that I've always had with people in my life. It's just open, freely sharing myself, because, you know, I don't do stuff that requires uncovering. I don't do things that people can find out about, because I'm not here to freaking rack up no gnarly karma. So, anyway, it's a oh, and the one kid I did, he was September 26th, so it puts him at Sagittarius or Capricorn. I'd have to look for sure, but anyway. But kids, you keep speaking from your heart. You keep don't let but nobody told you this stuff that happened to you isn't your path and part of, about what makes you a beautiful and resilient human being. You know, don't let nobody tell you what dialogue you're living. Live your own dialogue, folks. It was really promising, and it just gave me a lot of hope today that, you know, people are really, they are doing it. They are speaking from their heart and having, you know, pretty poignant conversations, and You know, it's just like anything else. If one person's doing it, then there's 1,000 more. So, you know, just one day at a time if need be. You know, sometimes you just got it's 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. But we always get opportunities to just experience things in a better, broader, grander way than we have before. And that's the choice that the trajectory that I hope that I continue to head down. And I hope you do too. Hope you have a rad evening. Peace.